Welcome to the Sleep Lab. Evening settles over a small Cambridge room, where lamplight pools like honey on worn wood, and a teacup cools beside scattered papers, their edges soft as tired petals, breathing dust, silence, unsent sentences. Alan sits still, cardigan sleeves pushed back, listening to the radiator tick like a cautious clock, as if time itself were tiptoeing, afraid to disturb the fragile machinery turning behind his eyes tonight. An envelope waits before him, pale and patient, its flap unsealed, like a held breath. The paper seems to listen too, aware it may soon carry words heavier than ink, softer than regret. Outside, bicycles whisper past wet cobblestones, tires sighing through mist, while a distant bell folds the hour into the dark. The night feels enormous, yet this room holds a weather system of thoughts. He rubs his thumb along the envelope's edge, feeling the faint ridge where paper remembers pressure, a shoreline of touch, and wonders how something so light can ask the heart to lift weight. There is no draft, yet the page trembles slightly, or perhaps it is his hand. Apology gathers slowly, like fog over a field, obscuring fences, softening distances, making every boundary feel crossable tonight. Earlier, laughter had lived here, bright as spoon against porcelain, when memory felt obedient. Now quiet sits closer, a cat with watchful eyes, tail wrapped neat, guarding a space between intention and confession. He rehearses sentences without sound, lips shaping air, testing gentleness, testing truth. Each phrase seems a bridge made of breath, beautiful, temporary, suspended above waters that do not promise safe crossings ahead tonight. On the desk, a photograph leans in its silver frame. Two young men half smiling at some joke now lost. Their shoulders nearly touch, a closeness casual then, precious, glowing like coal beneath ash. The clock on the mantel clears its throat again, a polite reminder that hours pass whether courage arrives or not, whether words find doors or remain furniture inside the locked house of the chest. He thinks of footsteps once shared along river paths, gravel crunching in companionable rhythm, conversation looping like swallows. How easily the future had opened then, a field without fences, sky leaning close. Now memory feels like glass warmed by hands no longer there, still holding shape, still clear, yet cooling. He fears the letter may be a stone, small but certain, dropped into that fragile, shining stillness. A moth circles the lamp, tapping the shade with soft insistence. Mistaking brightness for welcome, Alan watches, recognizing the hopeful error, how living things drift toward warmth, even when light conceals heat. His pen rests nearby, dark and narrow, a quiet instrument, like a tuning fork waiting for struck air. He knows that once it moves, silence will change shape, the room listening differently afterward. He thinks of footsteps once shared along river paths, gravel crunching in companionable rhythm, conversation looping like swallows. How easily the future had opened then, a field without fences, sky leaning close. He inhales, and the air tastes faintly of dust and cooled tea, of wool and paper, of evening itself. Each breath feels measured, as though his ribs were gates deciding how much world to admit. The envelope's whiteness seems almost luminous now, a small winter field awaiting tracks. He wonders what footprints apology leaves, whether they lead closer together, or simply prove someone once stood here, uncertain. His heart beats not loudly, but steadily, like oars dipping into dark water. He feels himself crossing something unseen, though shorelines remain hidden, though maps offer no ink where this crossing occurs. He remembers a joke about numbers, shared over bread and jam, laughter bright as cutlery. How strange that logic could feel like play, that minds could meet like hands, warm, unguarded, certain. Those hours seem folded now, pressed like flowers between pages of a book never reopened. Color remains, shape remains, yet the air that once moved through petals has long since wandered elsewhere. He fears the letter may open that book again, releasing scents both sweet and sharp. Memory, once stirred, does not return quietly to sleep, but walks the corridors, touching doors, asking to be seen. Rain begins without drama, a fine stitching of drops across the window, threading night to glass. Each bead slides downward, leaving temporary paths, silver nerves mapping gravity's patient persuasion. He watches those lines merge and vanish, thinking how feelings travel similarly, separate at first, then joining, then gone. Yet the pain remembers for a moment, cool, altered, touched by passage. The radiator sighs, releasing warmth in tired intervals. The room feels like a held palm, offering small comfort while larger weather gathers elsewhere, beyond brick, beyond policy, beyond the reach of quiet letters. He dips the pen at last, metal nib kissing ink with a sound too small to name. Still, the moment lands inside him, a soft bell, marking the crossing from thought into trace. The first word arrives slowly, like an animal stepping from trees, cautious, ready to flee. He guides it forward, hoping gentleness can be a kind of shelter, even on open, uncertain ground. Each letter curls onto the page, darkening fiber, leaving a path he cannot untread. He feels both lighter and more bound, as if confession were a thread tying him to truth's quiet post. The room seems to lean closer, listening as the lines grow, apology unfolding not as defense, but offering. He writes of friendship as something once simple, now precious, like water carried carefully across desert miles. He does not name every fear, yet they move beneath the words, slow fish under ice. He trusts that honesty, even partial, can still shine through, like moonlight entering water, broken yet faithful. When he pauses, the silence is different, fuller, as though the letter has opened a window no one sees. Night air of another kind circulates, cool and bracing, across the landscape of his chest. Each letter curls onto the page, darkening fiber, leaving a path he cannot untread. He feels both lighter and more bound, as if confession were a thread tying him to truth's quiet post. Each connection strengthens with use, like a footpath pressed firm by repeated steps. Memory is not a drawer, but a living trail, grass bending, soil remembering weight, direction shaped by returning often. Inside the mind, thought travels along branching paths called neurons, cells shaped like trees listening for lightning. Signals leap tiny gaps, sparks crossing darkness, carrying meaning the way fireflies carry brief, coated lanterns. When bonds change, the brain rewrites itself quietly, pathways thinning, others brightening. This pliancy is called plasticity, the mind's soft clay, still warm, still able to hold new impressions of light. Emotion travels these paths too, not as storm, but as current, subtle, persistent. Care and shame share corridors, brushing shoulders, shaping how signals flow, which routes feel open, which close like gates. In this way, words alter matter, breath shaping brain. Language, though airy, leaves footprints in tissue, small shifts of chemistry, gentle tilts in balance, the body learning a new way to carry yesterday. An apology, offered sincerely, can be like clearing debris from a stream, allowing water to find older channels again. It does not erase stones, yet flow resumes, sound softening, edges worn smoother. Friendship itself lives partly in this shifting forest, patterns of shared laughter, shared risk, laid down like rings inside a tree. Each season adds grain, storms included, strengthening what endures. When distance comes, those rings do not vanish. They remain, quiet architecture. Even if leaves fall, reconnection is often a matter of light returning, sap rising, old channels remembering their direction. The letter on the desk is thus more than paper. It is a signal, seeking a familiar shore, hoping dormant paths might brighten again, that two inner forests might once more share wind. Computation, Alan's other language, also depends on pathways, decisions branching like roots. A simple yes or no, repeated, builds towering structures, cathedrals of logic rising from humble, patient switches. Yet even the most precise machine requires an initial state, a starting kindness of arrangement. Without it, signals wander uselessly, like travelers without roads, energy spent, meaning lost in open terrain. Human connection offers such beginnings, coordinates of trust. From them, minds compute together, exploring vast problems. When trust falters, circuits dim, not broken, but waiting for alignment, a careful reset. Regret can be seen as feedback, a signal returning from outcome to origin, whispering of mismatch. It need not be punishment, but information, a gentle correction from the future to the past. In brains and machines alike, feedback refines behavior, narrowing error, guiding learning. Without it, systems drift, repeating harm unknowingly, like a compass untested, needle trembling, pointing nowhere dependable. So the ache in his chest, though sharp, carries guidance. It is the mind's way of saying, adjust here, speak now, let truth pass, even if voice shakes crossing the bridge. Compassion, too, has circuitry, networks that light when we imagine another's inner weather. These regions mirror, resonate, allowing one nervous system to echo another, distance shrinking without bodies moving. A letter can activate such mirrors, ink becoming voice, paper becoming presence. Through symbols, one mind knocks gently on another's door, offering not argument, but felt experience, warm as shared breath. In this exchange, both are altered slightly, patterns updated. Understanding is not a static gift, but a process, like tuning strings, tension adjusted until two notes rest easier together. Time does not move in a straight line inside memory. Past and present fold, like pages touching, a scent, a phrase, and yesterday stands beside today, not gone, merely waiting in another room. The letter is a key turned toward that room, careful, respectful. It does not force the door, but tests the latch, acknowledging that entry is invitation, never entitlement, even between old friends. Such gentleness is a form of intelligence, reading emotional terrain the way a scientist reads data. Sensitivity here is precision, attention to small signals, slight tremors that reveal deeper, hidden structures. Across the universe, patterns repeat at different scales, branches in lungs, branches in rivers, branches in neurons. Life seems fond of this design, pathways dividing, rejoining, distributing flow. Apology follows similar geometry, a branching outward from self, a reaching. It acknowledges separation, yet seeks reunion, allowing two streams to meet again, sediment settling, waters running clearer afterward. Thus, the letter participates in a larger rhythm, not only social, but natural. Repair is a feature of living systems. an ongoing adjustment, keeping structures flexible enough to endure changing weather. Alan sets down the pen, the final line resting like a stone placed carefully on a cairn, marking passage. He feels no triumph, only a quieter alignment, inner pieces sitting closer together. The envelope closes with a soft, decisive slide, paper against paper. The small sound echoes widely inside him, as though some internal door has also moved, not shut, but gently, finally opened. Outside, rain continues its patient stitching. Inside, breath moves easier. Nothing is solved entirely, yet something essential has shifted, a degree toward light, a degree away from solitary shadow. In countless rooms, under countless lamps, similar moments unfold, unseen. People choose words that mend, that risk tenderness, altering unseen pathways, inside brains, inside histories, inside the quiet fabric of night. Science describes the mechanisms, sparks crossing gaps, tissues changing with use. Yet the lived experience remains simple, a person reaching toward another, hoping their signal will be received, decoded, held. And so the small Cambridge room becomes a universe, its letter a star's faint pulse. Far away, another heart may feel that light, and in responding, illuminate the dark between them. If this journey into the quiet corners of discovery brought you a moment of peace, please like this video and consider subscribing to the Sleep Lab. It helps us continue our exploration and gently reminds you to wonder,